We have a graphic with Penn State's schedule too, and just want to get everyone's comments on that. And you know, 6-6 certainly with all the adversity they've had to overcome is a tremendous year. They're going to the bowl game. I remember watching that game against Rutgers, a great win there. I thought at that time they might have had an outside shot at 7 wins, which would have been even more astronomical for them to finish above 500, but obviously then they got into their meat of the schedule with Northwestern, Michigan, Ohio State, in which they got hosed, in my opinion. I watched that game. The overtime in particular did not go the way I think Penn State fans would have liked. And then just their 2 wins the rest of the way with Indiana, Temple. Your thoughts, everyone's thoughts on the regular season, and it seemed like as the season went on, and this might just be because of the level of competition, but the offense really seemed to sputter as far as scoring touchdowns, and James Franklin really wanted to run the ball a lot, which was apparent, but it worked for a while, but he just didn't seem to be able to get points with that offensive strategy.
A lot of the reaction I got, and in the beginning of the season, I thought 7-5 would be a very good season for a football team with a new coaching staff and with as many young players as they were going to have to play, and with as little depth as they were going to have, and then to be able to withstand injuries and things like that. But the reaction I got when they were 4-0 and facing a Northwestern team that at that time was a chaotic mess, and then having a bye week and going to Michigan, which at that time was even a bigger chaotic mess, that, hey, 6-0 going into the Ohio State game, that's really something. And so I thought it's possible, sure. Yeah. I think the Northwestern game really brought back, to me anyway, it brought that Penn State's level of where it is right now, where it was this season. It brought it back to reality. That it's just, with playing, their numbers were about 47 or 48 kind of eligible players, what they call recruited scholarship players, which means guys that they brought in on scholarship to play. Yeah. That's, they were kind of hamstrung. And as, injuries and those kinds of things mount up, and the offensive line, which is that's an hour unto itself. That I ultimately thought it was surprising that the offense maybe didn't perform as well as I thought it might have, but that the defense, which had just as many issues, it just still had more players on its side, became among the top nationally, in that it was ranked. Last year it was such a mid-level defense that gave up 60 to Ohio State and 44 to Indiana. And this year ranked in the top 10 nationally in 7 defensive categories, including #1 against the run. So I think for all the things you can say that the offense struggled with, it's just as surprising the defense was as good as it was.
Yeah. David, of course, one of the big games in the state, one of the most competitive games in the playoffs was last week, Parkland versus St. Joe's. Dave, you were there. Your thoughts on both teams, and then we'll talk a little bit about some controversial things that happened towards the end of that game.
Well, I thought Parkland played a great game. They had to play flawless ball, and I thought it came down to Devontae Cross. He couldn't really turn the ball over, and I know he had that interception. They scored a touchdown, but he overcame it. They scored the 2 touchdowns right before half, and they were right in the game. And obviously we're going to talk about a crucial play late in the game. Parkland, I'll tell you what, they could have won that game. It's tough to beat a District 12 Catholic school in the playoffs, or a AAA District 12 Catholic school. Parkland was right in it until, unfortunately, a crucial call or non-call late in the game.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
Say that.
I was really impressed the way they hung in there, because they got behind early, and I was told that the sentiment there was, here goes St. Joe's again, typical District 12. It's going to be a runaway game, and Parkland came back.
Well, the thing is, I thought with John Reed on the sidelines not playing, they had great athletes back there, but I thought Parkland would take advantage of that because they're, pretty much a passing team.